Picture it. You're a young NBA superstar, let's say 21 years old. You've been in the league a short time, but things are finally going your way. After a couple seasons praying for ping pong balls and spending late spring in Galveston, things are actually happening. You've just made your first All-Star game as a reserve. You're getting some mild All-NBA buzz, and you're poised to make the playoffs for the very first time. Will you make it out of the first round? Probably not, but who cares? Your team is the breakthrough story of the season. Your skipper is getting Coach of the Year shouts, and the media can't get enough of you. Well, let's jump ahead a few years. You're 23. You're now a seasoned All-Star. All NBA is in your grasp. Your team has some pieces and could make some noise. You're not anybody's favorite by any means, but the experience from the past couple seasons has brought expectations. You reach round 2, take it to 6 or 7 games, but nothing more. Now, your coach is on the hot seat, and all the media hates you. This is weird, right? Because I could have just been talking about Donovan Mitchell, or Giannis, or John Morant, or Luka, or Jaylen Brown, or Jason Tatum, or Devin Booker, or really any young superstar. They might hit the milestones at different ages, but the markers are all the same. The first milestone is celebrated in the early 20s, and the next is hated once they've reached their mid-20s, generally around the age of 23. Anthony Edwards is the latest example. After beating a flawed but experienced Lakers squad, followed by a patched-together Golden State in round 2, he fell to OKC in round 3, and then he was eviscerated by the basketball media. Why does this happen? First reason, as always, is money. First-round picks in the NBA sign a 4-year scale contract with team options in the latter 2 years. Afterwards, they can sign a much larger extension based on what they've accomplished on their rookie salary. Typically, that means age 23 is when a player starts making serious money if they were drafted at 19. More money means more expectations. Just because you are a high pick doesn't mean you're in the running for massive money once your rookie deal is done. Just ask Josh Jackson, James Wiseman, Killian Hayes, any Knicks lottery pick, how much they made once their first contract is over. That deal illustrates the faith a front office has put into a player. Losing in the playoffs at age 23 is the first time it actually matters from a salary cap perspective. Before that, a player on a rookie salary can be accompanied by a lot of veteran talent because they're not making as much. Once they're making 30, 40 million a year, they need to produce. It also marks the first instance when they can be traded for another max player because the salaries match up. But let's go beyond that. Plenty of guys make big money in this league and do squat in the postseason if they qualify at all. So what gives? Well, I think it all goes back to expectations and narratives. I originally thought of this topic because of all the heat Anthony Edwards got from ESPN after losing to the Thunder in the Western Finals. It didn't matter that he was facing a super team. It didn't matter that this was his second straight conference finals. He didn't step up when it mattered most. And I think it's because the basketball media is constantly looking for a new face. This was a big topic over the past year, and I never really talked about it, so here's the short version. None of us need to care about who the face of the league is. We keep hearing about it because the basketball media needs to know who to put on the movie poster. This has become a bigger issue considering they just spent a small fortune on broadcasting rights, and the last generation is starting to drop off. They've spent a decade promoting LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. These are their meal tickets. They're going to go away now, and what's worse is that even though they're still playing, they're not playing in the games that matter. And so when you hear ESPN upset about Ant Edwards not stepping up, it has nothing to do with Ant Edwards and everything to do with ESPN. Can he lead every First Take segment? Can you put him in weekly podcast titles? Can he consistently appear in the most watched games of the year? We don't know yet, and that makes people in power worried. LeBron James took his teams to 8 finals in a row from 2011 to 2018. You could talk about a friendly whistle or how weak the East was or rigged lotteries or whatever until the cows come home. From a business and from a media perspective, all those finals meant was that ESPN could put LeBron on a poster for 8 seasons in a row. Now they can't, and it's troubling, especially when jobs are on the line. There's more competition for attention, and most of the younger generation doesn't pay to actually watch games. Okay, so not exactly the short version, but you get my point. We keep looking for the next guy on the poster. 23 is usually the age when players first taste mild postseason success. And so when they inevitably get bounced by teams led by 26, 27, 28-year-olds, we panic. And I think the problem is that this is just not the age when players start taking big swings at the title. Check out these graphs. It's the age of every Finals MVP and regular season MVP since the merger. There are some outliers like Derrick Rose in 2011 and Magic Johnson in 1980, but overall we see a pretty clear pattern. Players peak from ages 26 to 32. Now, with advances in medical technology, we see longer primes, longer careers, but the players at the top of the mountain usually reach the summit within this age. So, if it's irrational to expect deep playoff runs at this age, why do we still have this issue? Well, again, media has changed. Back in the day, there was just less out there for consumers to watch, and broadcasters had less competition. If you didn't like Peter Vesey in the studio before the '98 finals, you were up a creek. Now, basketball analysis is everywhere, and most of these creators can cater to a niche audience without the pressures and corporate oversight of a major broadcaster. So, if you are a major broadcaster, what do? Well, you make it about you. Ant Edwards doesn't just have to step it up, he has to step it up because Kendrick Perkins told him to. The Knicks need to step it up to impress Stephen A. Smith. The earliest example I can remember is with Skip Bayless and his famous one-sided beef with LeBron James. I remember there was this sequence on First Take where they had Mark Cuban on with Stephen A. and Skip, and Skip tried to seriously argue that LeBron was playing purely to impress Skip Bayless. It's great for the broadcaster because it makes their coverage seem unique and mandatory viewing. Why cover a story when you can be a story? So that's why we tend to turn on players when they turn 23. It's the point in their career when they've earned the big contract, when the basketball media is most incentivized to turn up the heat, but also when they're not quite ready to contend. If the cycle continues, we should expect to see segments about Cade Cunningham in a year, then Paolo, and then Wemby. As for Edwards, I think he'll be fine. What he's accomplished in 5 years is unparalleled in Timberwolves history, mostly because of the brain trust that ruined the Garnett era of the franchise. Now, the team heads into a really interesting summer with multiple key players up for renewal. Will Tim Connolly make any big moves? Will Ant be able to make the next step? Will ESPN give him a break? We'll see.